Hey, this is Writer's Row. I'm DC Wright-Hammer, and I want to jump right into it this week because it's a serious topic, and I think a lot of writers are going to benefit from this discussion. To put it simply, I've quit writing. I haven't written even 100 words in probably 2 or 3 months, and I haven't written substantially in probably 6 months. And even going back a year and a half, almost 2 years, at that point I was wrapping up edits for my second book that I was publishing, and I haven't written a ton. I've probably written maybe 80,000 words in a year and a half to 2 years, and before that I wrote 250,000 words and published 2 books. So from that perspective, my production has gone way down. I guess I should probably tell you when I started being a writer, what was kind of going on in my life at that time. I went from being an inner city school teacher. I was teaching junior and senior high schoolers. I was teaching technology and engineering, and it was a super fulfilling career. I loved the kids, and I loved the art of teaching, the science of teaching, and I didn't even have big problems working with parents either. It was really more of challenges that I had with the rules and regulations of K through 12 education in the United States. And even working with my administrators in the school I was working with, we really weren't able to work out a sustainable career for me in the school I was in, and then just broadly more speaking, it just kind of burnt me out. Again, I could have done it forever. The kids were great, but I had to make a choice. So I became an office worker. I started working for a software company, doing things regarding data migrations and moving big data from here to there. And it was a challenging job, but it was something that I was good at. And I ended up having quite a bit more mental cycles as a result of working this office job as opposed to working as a teacher. And so with those extra mental cycles, my mind started to kind of just wander, and I needed creative outlets. And probably in the winter of 2014, going into the spring of 2015, I just started writing as an outlet. I started to just put together the basics of a story, and I didn't think a whole lot of it. And then it just kind of took off from there. 2015, I really started writing more. In 2016 especially, I wrote basically all of the first draft or close to the first draft for my first novel. Long story long, because that's what I do, I published book one eventually, and dove headfirst writing book two. And I kind of wrote through. I didn't think much about it, and I ended up publishing 11 months later book two. And throughout that process, though, a couple things happened. In July of 2018, I basically joined Twitter. I had an account for a year that I hadn't did anything with, and I started on Twitter because my editor had told me it's a good way to get my name out there. It's a good way to do some marketing and to see networking and seeing how other authors are doing things. And so I did that. I went on Twitter and I started to build my follower base. I started to network with other authors and things like that. And I kind of quickly got overwhelmed and a little bit consumed to some extent in writing community and talking with other authors and working with other authors. As I ended up publishing book two in the fall of 2018, I didn't have a great marketing strategy. It was released to little fanfare and very few sales. I had a handful of people who had been waiting for it. But overall, I was really frustrated, and I didn't really have an outlet for that frustration. I was kind of disappointed in myself for not having a great marketing plan, but something inside of me kind of snapped when I went and published book two. And I decided that writing, or maybe I didn't decide this, but subconsciously, it basically felt like writing was no longer fun. It was no longer the fun escape that it had been for the previous 2 or 3 years. And so I just kind of floated in and out. I was writing a standalone piece for a while. I'm like 60,000 words into that. I was writing some sequels to the series that I have out. But in general, my output plummeted. And for a good 6, 8 months, almost a year, I was very concerned. I was very unsure if what it meant for me as a writer, how it defined me as a writer. If I could only put out 2 novels, what does that mean? What if I took it to the nth degree and said, what if I never publish again? And there was a little bit of peace that came with that thought. It was at this point, while editing this video, that I realized I needed some kind of graphic or something to really bring to life what I was feeling. And at the time, I was watching some older episodes of Tom Scott. He is a creator and YouTuber, and one of his episodes on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description down below, actually put up a graphic in his video when he's talking about becoming a creator and being a creator. And the graph, which I'll display here and now, really encapsulates how I am thinking about creating moving forward. If I'm working on a YouTube video, I can do it without a ton of effort. I mean, yeah, I have to schedule recording. I have to, if there's a guest, I have to make sure that we're synced together. I have to do the editing of the video. I have to publish the video out on YouTube and go through all that metadata process and whatnot. But I really like this chart. It shows that the more awesome something is, it's what you want to do. But you want to then, bounce that off of how much time is it going to take, because you can do a ton of effort into something, and it's good to do quality work. However, if it falls flat after it gets distributed, published, whatever it is, it really makes you question yourself. You put in all this effort, your effort and time that you cannot get back. And so I really like this chart because it shows you do something awesome, especially if it's low effort. Those are the things you want to do the most of. And writing books, editing, marketing, building a brand, all those things that you really have to do as an author, especially an independent author, it's a lot of effort, and there's often small returns that come from the things that you do. And I think that's okay, and I think people should continue doing those things. I think I got disillusioned with it, and I do think some indie authors have gone, so far as to publish a book and just move on. Their marketing is publishing that next book. Their marketing is just sort of building their brand over time. And I think that's eventually where I want to get to. Currently, I'm not there. My creative outlet is YouTube, and some other little things here or there. Eventually, I do want to get back to books. I want to finish the series that I'm working on, and I also want to start writing smaller standalones that I can do things like rapid release and try doing things like that. So I wanted to take a break in this video. As I was editing it, I realized these are some things I wanted to talk about. Go subscribe to Tom Scott's channel. He is a great creator, very smart, sharp, and makes you think quite a bit. And let's get you back to your regularly scheduled YouTube channel. Meanwhile, I had been engrossed in helping other writers in writing community. I did for about 6 months what was called the Indie Author Spotlight on my website, and I would basically take books the authors had, I'd take pictures from them, and I would just create a page. And I would broadcast it out on my social media platforms, and people would see and they would learn about other authors. And I did that for a good 6 months, and that was a really great experience. Met a lot of people that I'm still friends with today, and I was just glad to help people out. It's a free service. Just took me probably half an hour, 45 minutes on the weekend to just throw together the information they sent me and throw it up on my website and go from there. And then this channel actually appeared in April of 2019. So we've basically been doing this for a year now in various capacities. And this channel quickly kind of took over my creative outlet that writing had been, and I wanted to, make more videos. I want to make better videos. I wanted to find out what writing community wanted to know about, talk about, discuss, question, and I wanted to put it in video. I wanted to give people an outlet. Writing is so often a solitary activity where we are in our own heads and we're trying to pour it onto a page, but often we need either little distraction or we need a place where we can focus and kind of do that. And we don't often have other writers in our life. We might have Twitter, we might have other social media, but it's difficult to really communicate there. So the reason why I started becoming part of this channel in Writers Row is I wanted an outlet for writers who wanted to discuss those topics or have somebody discuss them and let them have, in a sort of a podcast, talk show style format, an outlet for those questions, those discussions, and talking about things like the business side, the frustrations that I've had marketing and selling and building a brand and things like that. I know so many authors have questions and concerns about that as well, and so I wanted to give an outlet for that. And beyond that, I wanted to bring on, and I continue to bring on authors on this channel to give their opinions, their advice, their experiences, so we can all learn from them. We can all save ourselves from trouble by learning from people who have been there. I know for my first year and a half as an author, I didn't have anybody to really look up to. I was kind of winging it the whole time. And Writers Row, I want it to be a place where we can ask those questions, we can have those discussions, and we can figure it out, because ultimately, as indie authors get more successful, or whatever it is that they do, I feel like that I can be a part of that I can help that along, that I can be that person in the community that people can count on for those kinds of services and perspectives. And so when I say that I've quit writing, that is an accurate statement. I'm not really writing right now. I have, like I said, thousands of words spanning across probably 3 to 4 stories right now, but I'm not really contributing to them. And the current public health crisis, some people are saying they have more time or they're writing more. I'm just the opposite. I haven't had a desire to really write. I'm focusing on maintaining my day job that I currently have. I'm focusing on my family, my children. I have small children that I'm trying to educate while working full time. And so I wasn't writing much before. I'm still not writing much right now. And so I'm just kind of owning it at this point. I'm saying I quit writing because I think it's good, and it's time to own it and to consider my options. I was not a writer for most of my life. For a couple of years, I was a writer. I'm currently, I guess, a writer on hiatus or whatever you want to call it. But I can always go back to it. And in fact, some of the things I'm doing in my personal life, we're trying to save money to have a down payment for a home, and we want to buy a bigger space where I'll have an office, so I'm not recording in my living room, which is basically where I'm at right here. This is probably the best space for me to record in my home. And I want to get a bigger space where I can actually do better production and take this show to the next level. And so in the meantime, I'm just trying to maintain this show, maintain the production value of this show, and increase it if I can, and learn some things as I go along. And also spend a lot of time with other writers and learn myself. I'm trying to learn from other writers. What are they doing? What have they done to sustain their writing creativity, their the thing that keeps them writing? What have they done to not get down with marketing, the business side? I signed up to be a writer, and then I have to be a marketer by default, and that's just, it's not natural to me. And I know I have to do it, and I do it unevenly. Sometimes I do it really well, sometimes not so much, most of the time not so much. But I wanted to own it, and I wanted to make a video about it, because I'm thinking there's other people out there who are feeling something like this, and you're not alone. It's totally natural. None of us are born writers. If we become writers, that's great. If we take a break, that's okay too. And we could always become writers again. And I think in that process of becoming a writer again, with all the experience you do have, it's not like it was the first time. It is really just picking up the reins. It's like riding a bike again after you've taken a break. You know, you're gonna know how to do it. It's second nature, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay that I've quit writing, and if you're feeling similarly, that's okay too. And that doesn't make you any less of a writer. Take breaks, sort out your personal life, do other creative outlets if that's what feels good right now. If writing is not feeling good, and eventually you may come back to writing. It's possible you won't. That is on the table. It's something that needs to be considered, and that's okay too. I think in the end, write for yourself, write because you love it, and when those things stop being true, you don't have to write. You don't have to like it. You don't have to force yourself. Uh, and I think I'll end it right there. If you like what this channel's been doing, feel free to subscribe below. That helps us out a lot. And give this video a thumbs up. If you got questions or comments, go ahead and put that down below. We appreciate those as well. And I will catch you next time.